The last topic of logarithms is the logarithmic function. This is the topic that you get in 11th class. Till now, whatever we have studied, you're supposed to know in your classes till your 10th class. And this logarithmic function is introduced to you in the 11th class. So what is the logarithmic function? The function y is equal to log x to the base a is called the logarithmic function. In this function, x is always positive, that is x is always greater than 0, and the base is greater than 0 and base is not equal to 1. So why this happens we have already seen before. So the argument inside log has to be positive and the base has to be greater than 0 and not equal to 1. So y is equal to log x to the base a is called the logarithmic function. So what should you understand about the logarithmic function? So first, whenever I talk about function, you need to understand the domain and range of this function. So the domain is nothing but the values of x that can go inside the log function. So we have already seen the values of x has to be greater than 0. The domain is open 0 to infinity. And what is the range of this function? Range is nothing but the values of log. What are the answers that you get? So we have already seen that when you calculate log continuously for different numbers, you get all the numbers from minus infinity to plus infinity. So when you go very close to 0, the value of log goes to minus infinity. When you go to infinity, the value of log becomes infinity. So the domain and range of the logarithmic function has to be remembered. And next, the graph of logarithm function has to be remembered. So how does the graph of logarithmic function look like? There are two possible graphs for logarithmic function. Depends on base a. So y is equal to log x to the base a if a is greater than 1. If the base is greater than 1, we have seen that as this argument increases, the value of log increases. If the base is greater than 1, then with x, y also increases. So how does the graph look like? Close to 0, the value will be close to minus infinity. Log 1 will always be equal to 0 at x is equal to 1, crosses the x-axis. And as x tends to infinity, the value of log goes to infinity. But as you see the values of log increases very slowly. So the graph looks something like this. So the graph is an increasing graph. That is, as x increases, y increases. And it always cuts x-axis at the point 1, 0. And as x goes close and close to 0, the value of logarithm goes to minus infinity. The value of logarithm goes to minus infinity. And as x goes to infinity, the value of log goes to infinity. These are the things that you need to remember. But this is when a is greater than 1. So the same graph, if you draw log x to the base a, if a is in between 0 and 1, this becomes a decreasing graph. And as x goes closer and closer to 0, if the base is a fraction, the value goes to infinity. Value goes to infinity. So the graph starts from here and goes on decreasing. It becomes 0 at x is equal to 1. That is compulsory. That is, it passes through this point and then goes down to infinity on this side. So the graph this time goes from plus infinity to minus infinity. And this is a decreasing graph. That is, as x increases, the value of y decreases. As x increases, the value of y decreases. But this also passes through 1, 0. This is a decreasing function. This is when a is greater than 1. This is when a is in between 0 and 1. So a greater than 1 and a is in between 0 and 1. So you have understood what the definition of the function is. You have understood what the domain and range of the function is. You have understood what the conditions are for log to be defined. And you have seen the graph of the logarithmic function when the base is greater than 1 and the base is in between 0 and 1. These are the things that you need to remember in logarithmic function. So now let us do some questions on logarithmic functions and conclude this topic.